Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive, all about crowdsourcing for innovation.
Yeah.
We've got some fascinating articles and reports to dig into today.
Yeah, I feel.
Now, whether you're, getting ready for a big strategy meeting or just kind of keeping up with all the trends in the industry,
Right.
or maybe even just super curious about this whole crowdsourcing thing, we're going to break it all down for you.
Yeah.
By the end of this, you'll know exactly what it is and why everyone's making such a fuss about it.
Yeah.
But even more importantly, how you can actually use it.
You know what I find really interesting about crowdsourcing? It's not just some, trendy buzzword that comes and goes.
Right.
That a whole new way of thinking about solving problems and innovating.
Okay, so I have to admit,
Yeah.
when I first heard the term crowdsourcing, I pictured like a giant online poll where everyone votes on, the best ice cream flavor or something.
I see.
But these sources we've got, they paint a much more complex picture. This is about something much bigger than just ice cream.
Absolutely. It's about harnessing the collective intelligence of a group of people
Okay.
to come up with ideas, solve problems, and make smarter decisions.
And this group could be your employees,
Yeah.
your customers, or even like a global network of experts.
Exactly.
So it's like a brainstorming session, but on steroids, right?
Exactly.
But this source also makes it clear that it's not just about throwing a bunch of random ideas into a hat and hoping for the best.
No.
There needs to be structure, a real process for making sure the ideas are good and can actually be used.
Exactly. That's where the how of crowdsourcing comes in.
Okay.
It's about crafting the right questions, bringing in the right people,
Great.
and having the right tools to manage it all effectively.
So now that we've touched on let's dig into the why. Our sources lay out some really convincing benefits of crowdsourcing.
Definitely.
And I'm not just talking about good vibes here.
No.
We're talking real measurable impact.
Like saving money on R&D.
Yeah, absolutely. The research shows companies, especially in healthcare,
Okay.
they've actually reduced their R&D costs by 20 to 30% just by using crowdsourcing.
Wow, 20 to 30%. That's huge.
Think about that for a
Yes.
second.
That's incredible. How does that even work? Is it just because you're getting free labor from the crowd?
Not at all. It's about accessing a wider pool of talent.
Okay.
People with expertise you might not have in your own company. And it's also about prototyping faster because you have so many people working in parallel.
So instead of a small team working on one problem step by step,
Yeah,
you've got hundreds or even thousands of people tackling it all at once.
precisely.
So it's like divide and conquer, but for brain power.
Exactly. And that leads to faster problem solving too.
Okay.
The source actually gives examples where crowdsourcing helped cut down the time it takes to solve really tough problems by up to 40%.
Okay. You've got my attention now.
But let's get specific. What kind of problems are we talking about here?
There's a fantastic example from the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
Eli Lilly, this giant pharma company.
Yeah.
They were struggling with protein crystallization, a crucial step in developing new drugs.
Okay.
Their own internal teams had been working on it for years,
Wow.
and they just weren't getting anywhere.
Sounds like a classic innovation roadblock.
Yeah.
So what did they do?
They decided to try something different. They turned to a crowdsourcing platform called Incentive.
Okay.
This platform connects companies with a whole global network of problem solvers.
Interesting.
And guess what? Within 6 months, they cracked the code.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was a group of really diverse thinkers, including a retired engineer and a theoretical chemist.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
6 months versus years.
Exactly.
That's incredible. And it really highlights something important.
What's that?
The power of having different perspectives.
Absolutely. Crowdsourcing allows you to tap into a huge range of knowledge and experience
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Right.
And that leads to more creative and ultimately more effective solutions.
Okay, so we've seen how crowdsourcing can save time and money. But the source also mentioned something interesting about decision-making.
Yes, crowdsourcing can significantly improve how companies make decisions. Deloitte did some research and found that 92% of leaders who use crowdsourcing say it makes their decisions better.
92%. Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
Well, why is that?
It's simple when you involve a wider range of people in the process.
Okay.
You get a more complete picture of the problem and all the potential solutions.
It's like having all these extra eyes on the situation, helping you avoid blind spots.
Exactly, and that leads to better, more informed decisions.
So it's not just about coming up with ideas, it's about putting those ideas to the test and getting feedback from all angles.
Exactly, and that leads to more confidence in the decisions you make.
So far, we've focused on the tangible benefits, the bottom line impact.
Right.
But this source also emphasizes something they call the engagement factor.
It's not just about extracting ideas from people.
Right.
It's about making them feel valued, heard, and empowered to contribute.
I can definitely see how that would boost morale and create a sense of ownership in the whole innovation process.
Absolutely. When people feel like their voices matter and their ideas are taken seriously,
right,
they're going to be much more invested in seeing those ideas succeed.
And there's research to back this up, right?
There is. Forrester found that crowdsourcing platforms tend to see 5 to 10 times more engagement than traditional ways of managing ideas.
That's a huge difference.
Yet it shows that people really want to contribute their ideas if you give them the right platform and the right incentives.
So we've explored the why. Now let's move on to the how.
Okay.
These sources give some great real-world examples of companies using crowdsourcing to achieve very specific goals.
Yes. And these examples really show how versatile crowdsourcing can be, how it can be used in all sorts of situations to tackle a whole range of problems.
For example, there's Marriott International,
Right.
this massive hotel chain.
Yeah.
They wanted to find innovative ways to improve the guest experience across all their hotels. So what did they do?
What do they do?
They turned to their employees.
They did.
They launched a crowdsourcing platform to tap into the creative minds of their frontline staff.
That's smart.
Think about it. Who better to know how to improve things than the people who interact with guests every single day?
Absolutely.
It's like turning everyday observations and frustrations into valuable insights.
Exactly.
So what came out of this initiative?
They came up with a whole bunch of innovative solutions for customer service.
Like what?
Things like mobile check-in, keyless entry, and personalized recommendations.
Wow.
And these solutions not only made guests happier, they also streamlined operations and saved the company money.
Talk about a win-win.
Definitely.
It really proves the value of tapping into the collective wisdom of your workforce.
Yeah.
And it's not just about improving things for customers. Vancouver Coastal Health, a major healthcare provider,
Right.
they used crowdsourcing to tackle internal challenges.
Interesting.
They were having some issues with hospital processes and patient care services. They knew their employees had valuable insights.
Yeah.
So they created a crowdsourcing platform to collect their ideas for improvement.
I like that.
It's like applying the same principle, tapping into that firsthand knowledge,
Right.
but in a different context.
Exactly.
So what were the results?
The results were amazing.
Really?
They actually put a bunch of the employee-generated ideas into action.
Wow.
And it led to significant improvements in patient care and hospital processes. They saw a big boost in efficiency, reduced wait times, and patients were happier overall.
It's incredible how crowdsourcing can be applied to so many different challenges, from improving customer service to streamlining healthcare.
It's really versatile.
And these are just a couple of examples. Our source mentions other companies, too,
Okay.
like Xanxus, a leader in programmatic media.
Yeah.
They used crowdsourcing to develop innovative solutions for some really complex digital advertising challenges.
It's true.
So even highly specialized fields can benefit from the collective intelligence of a crowd.
Absolutely. The key is to frame the challenge in a way that makes sense for the specific expertise of the crowd you're working with.
So it's about tailoring the approach to the specific needs and context.
Exactly, and that's where a platform like IdeaScale comes in.
Hold that thought. That's a perfect transition to the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore IdeaScale in more detail and see how it makes crowdsourcing even more manageable and effective.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back after a quick break
Oh, great.
to dive into the world of IdeaScale and see how it can help you unlock the power of crowdsourcing.
I'm looking forward to it. So as we've been talking,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about how crowdsourcing isn't just about finding the answer. It's about discovering a whole bunch of different possibilities.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And it seems like having the right tools is essential, especially when you start getting a lot of ideas and people involved.
Right.
Our sources definitely highlight IdeaScale as a platform that really shines in this area.
What's interesting about IdeaScale is that
Yeah.
it's not just about collecting ideas.
Okay.
It's a whole set of tools for managing the entire innovation process. From that initial spark of an idea all the way to making it a reality.
So it's like having everything you need for crowdsourcing all in one place.
Exactly.
But for someone who's new to this, it can still feel pretty daunting.
Yeah.
Where do you even start?
Well, one of the first things IdeaScale helps you with is defining the challenge.
Okay.
What's the exact problem you're trying to solve? What are you hoping to achieve? Who are the right people to involve?
Okay.
IdeaScale guides you through all of that, making sure your crowdsourcing project is set up for success right from the start.
So you've got your challenge defined,
Yeah.
you've launched your initiative, and the ideas are pouring in.
Right.
But as you said before, it's
Yeah.
not just about quantity.
No.
It's about quality.
Exactly.
How does IdeaScale help you separate the good ideas from the not so good ones?
That's where IdeaScale's filtering and prioritization tools come in.
Okay.
They have built-in ways to evaluate and rank ideas based on different factors.
Like what?
Things like how feasible the idea is, the potential impact,
Okay.
how well it aligns with your overall goals,
Right.
and even things like how original or innovative it is.
So it's not just a popularity contest.
Right.
You're not just looking for the ideas with the most votes.
Right.
You're looking for the ideas with the biggest potential to really make a difference.
Exactly. And this filtering process is incredibly valuable because it helps those really promising ideas rise to the top,
Right.
the ones that deserve more attention and resources.
Okay.
It prevents good ideas from getting lost in the noise
Yeah.
and ensures you're focusing your energy on the ones that matter most.
I can see how that would be especially important when you've got tons of submissions. You don't want those hidden gems to slip away
Right.
just because they didn't get enough attention at first.
Exactly. And this is something that traditional brainstorming sessions often struggle with. The loudest person in the room or the most senior person.
Yeah.
Their ideas can sometimes dominate the conversation.
Right.
And that can prevent those quieter, maybe more innovative ideas from being heard.
It's like IdeaScale levels the playing field. Every idea gets a fair shot,
Exactly.
no matter who submitted it.
Yeah,
That's really powerful.
it is.
What other aspects of IdeaScale stand out to you?
Another big strength is the focus on progress tracking.
Okay.
Once you've identified those promising ideas, you need a way to keep tabs on how they're developing.
Right.
IdeaScale has this visual dashboard
Okay.
that lets you see exactly where each idea is in the process.
So you can see which ideas are being evaluated,
Yep.
which ones are being developed, and which ones are actually being implemented.
Exactly. You can track an idea's entire journey
Wow.
from that initial submission to the final impact it has.
That's amazing.
This level of transparency is crucial. It keeps things moving forward and makes sure the whole crowdsourcing initiative doesn't lose momentum.
It also lets you spot any bottlenecks.
Right.
Like if a bunch of ideas are stuck in the evaluation phase,
Yeah,
you know you need to do something about that.
exactly.
Yes.
And it helps with accountability.
Okay.
When everyone can see the progress that's being made, it creates a shared sense of responsibility.
Right.
And that drives the project forward.
You know, this whole conversation is making me realize that crowdsourcing is really a team effort.
It is.
You need everyone working together, sharing their ideas, providing feedback, and ultimately pushing those ideas forward.
Absolutely. And IdeaScale has features that actually encourage that collaborative spirit.
Okay.
For example, users can comment on ideas, have discussions,
Right.
vote on their favorites.
It
But
even form virtual teams to work on specific challenges.
it's like creating a virtual innovation lab, a space where people can connect,
Right.
share their thoughts.
Yeah, and work together to come up with solutions.
Exactly. And that kind of collaboration is essential for refining and improving ideas.
Okay.
It allows you to tap into the collective wisdom of the crowd,
Right.
not just to generate ideas, but to make them better.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was a little skeptical about this whole crowdsourcing thing at first. I thought it might just be a fad,
Yeah.
a buzzword that would eventually disappear.
Right.
But the more we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
the more I see its potential to completely change the way we innovate.
I think you're right. Crowdsourcing is more than just a tool. It's a whole new way of thinking.
Okay.
It's about embracing the idea that we don't have all the answers, that the best solutions often come from unexpected places,
Right.
and that by working together, we can achieve so much more than we ever could alone.
Our sources highlight some pretty impressive statistics about the impact of crowdsourcing.
Yeah, they do.
For example, McKinsey's research suggests that organizations that use crowdsourcing have a 50% higher innovation success rate.
That's huge.
It is. And when you think about the reasons behind that success rate,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. By tapping into a wider range of ideas, you're much more likely to find that breakthrough solution.
Yeah.
And by involving the crowd in the development process, you're making sure those solutions are more likely to be adopted and actually used.
Exactly. It's not just about coming up with ideas.
Right.
It's about making them a reality.
And that's where having the right mindset, the right platform, and the right tools can make all the difference.
It can.
So if a company is looking to get started with crowdsourcing, what advice would you give them? Where should they begin?
I think the first step is to really figure out what they want to achieve.
Okay.
What are their goals for crowdsourcing?
Yeah.
Are they looking for new product ideas?
Right.
Solutions to specific business problems?
Yeah.
Or maybe they just want to find a way to get their employees more involved and tap into their collective knowledge. Once they have a clear understanding of their goals, they can start exploring the different crowdsourcing approaches and platforms that are out there.
It's like with any new project.
Yeah.
You need to have a clear vision of what you're trying to accomplish before you jump in.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that crowdsourcing isn't a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
What works for one company might not work for another.
Okay.
The key is to find the approach that best suits their specific needs and goals.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah, it has.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on something I've been thinking about.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the benefits of crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
But are there any potential drawbacks or risks that companies should be aware of?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
While crowdsourcing can be incredibly powerful, it's not without its challenges.
Okay.
One potential risk is that the quality of the ideas can vary a lot. You might end up with a bunch of noise and not enough substance.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have a strong filtering and evaluation process.
So it's not a magic solution.
No.
You can't just throw a problem out to a crowd and expect brilliant answers to appear out of thin air.
Right. It takes careful planning, thoughtful execution,
right,
and the right tools to manage it effectively.
Exactly.
This has been a fascinating exploration of IdeaScale and the incredible potential of crowdsourcing.
Yeah, it has.
But there's still so much more to uncover.
Definitely.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
To delve even deeper into the future of crowdsourcing and what it means for all of us.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been exploring the world of crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
And its incredible potential to revolutionize innovation.
Fascinating stuff.
Now in this final part,
Okay.
let's shift gears a little from the nuts and bolts to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading this article that described crowdsourcing as more than just a tool, but as a cultural shift.
Interesting.
A reflection of a world that's constantly changing.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
It is. For so long,
Yeah.
we've operated under this top-down model of innovation,
Right.
where just a select few experts or leaders call the shots. But crowdsourcing turns that upside down.
It does.
It says good ideas can come from anywhere, from anyone.
Yeah. It's like democratizing innovation.
Exactly. Giving everyone a voice, a chance to contribute and shape the future.
Right.
And that aligns with something we've been talking about throughout this deep dive.
What's that?
The power of diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. And this shift towards a more inclusive way of innovating, it's not just happening in business. We're seeing it in government, education, healthcare, even nonprofits.
It's like this growing recognition that no one has all the answers.
Right.
And that we can accomplish so much more when we open ourselves up to the collective wisdom of a crowd, whether that's our employees, our customers, or a global network of experts.
I think that's a really important point.
And this move towards crowdsourcing also reflects how work itself is changing.
Yeah. How so?
We're moving away from those rigid hierarchies towards flatter, more agile organizations where collaboration and knowledge sharing are key.
And crowdsourcing seems like a perfect fit for that kind of environment.
It does.
Where teams have the power to organize themselves, solve problems,
Right.
and drive innovation from the ground up.
We've talked a lot about IdeaScale.
Yeah, we have.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the broader landscape of crowdsourcing platforms. What trends are you seeing?
Okay.
What does the future hold?
One trend that I'm really excited about is the integration of AI,
Okay.
artificial intelligence, and machine learning into these platforms.
Interesting.
Imagine a future where AI algorithms can analyze huge amounts of crowdsourced data identify patterns,
Okay.
and uncover connections that we humans might miss.
It's like giving these platforms a boost of intelligence,
Right.
a way to take the collective wisdom of the crowd to a whole new level.
Exactly. What other possibilities do you see?
Well, I think we'll see more emphasis on gamification and incentives, making platforms more engaging, more interactive, and more rewarding for people to participate.
That makes sense.
This will not only attract more contributors,
Yeah.
but also encourage higher levels of engagement and collaboration.
It's about making crowdsourcing not just effective, but also fun and rewarding.
Exactly, and this leads to another exciting possibility.
What's that?
The rise of specialized crowdsourcing platforms tailored to specific industries or challenges.
Interesting.
Imagine a platform just for solving healthcare problems, another one focused on sustainability,
Right.
another on education.
It's like creating these vibrant hubs of innovation, each one dedicated to a specific area of expertise.
And within those hubs,
Yeah.
we'll see new models of collaboration emerge.
How so?
Companies will increasingly team up,
Okay.
sharing challenges, pooling resources,
Right.
and leveraging the combined intelligence of their crowds.
It's like breaking down those traditional barriers and creating a more open, collaborative approach to innovation.
And ultimately, that's what I find most inspiring about crowdsourcing.
What's that?
It's not just about finding solutions.
Okay.
It's about tapping into our collective potential,
Right.
recognizing that we can achieve amazing things when we work together.
I completely agree.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Oh, wow.
What should they be thinking about? What actions should they consider?
I would say embrace the crowdsourcing mindset.
Okay.
Don't see it as a threat,
Right.
but as an opportunity. It's a chance to access a wealth of ideas, solve problems more effectively.
Right. Engage their teams.
Yeah.
And build a more innovative and collaborative culture. It's about recognizing that the best ideas can come from anywhere, from anyone.
Absolutely.
It's about being open to new possibilities,
Right.
challenging assumptions, and believing in the power of collective intelligence.
And if they're ready to dive into the world of crowdsourcing, there are so many resources out there to help them.
Yeah.
From platforms like IdeaScale
Right.
to a growing community of people who are passionate about unlocking the power of the crowd.
This has been a truly insightful journey into the world of crowdsourcing. It has.
Yeah.
I've learned so much.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners have too.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep believing in the power of the crowd.